We have seen some absolutely ridiculous games release, and Relooted is basically Dustborn's sequel. It is a African futurist parkour heist game where you're stealing artifacts back from those darn evil Westerners. And when this trailer was initially dropped, gamers were pointing and laughing at it, and of course there were developers melting down on social media, locking threads down and hiding people's posts. But now the demo's out, and it is a complete and utter failure. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I always say this, developers can make whatever content they want, and if this is really the type of game that they think is going to sell, they can go for it. But gamers have been proven right yet again that when you create propaganda, it's not something people really want to consume. This is a title that just didn't seem to have much going for it. And well, now that the demo's out, it is going terribly. So if you haven't heard of this title, I did previously talk about it in another video, though we'll read their kind of like blog post about it and their description about the type of experience you're going to be getting. It says Relooted is the African relic repatriation heist game you didn't realize you needed. When making a game about the repatriation of artifacts taken from Africa, the biggest struggle that developers faced wasn't finding enough real-world artifacts to include, it was narrowing the list from the glut of options. It was quite an involved process, said Ben Myers, the creative director. We had 2 researchers over 2 years. There were just so many, and ultimately, the team settled on the artifacts to use and Relooted by focusing on the stories tied to them. We looked for artifacts with great stories in terms of how they were looted. Why were these so important to people? Just anything associated with them. For instance, one artifact in the game is a drum from Kenya. The people of Kenya thought it was destroyed years ago. This is the most spiritually important artifact to them. They thought it was destroyed. It turns out that it's been in the British Museum storage for the last 100 years. The first Kenyan people to see it in the last 100 years were in the 2010s. It was taken in 1870. So basically, the artifacts are items that were stolen by white men, that were stolen by evil Westerners, and now it is your job to steal them back and to take back your power. Now, I personally have never heard anybody ask for a title like this. Maybe there are a couple out there, but this just didn't look like a good game in general, even putting aside the fact that this is like an extremely racist title and I can't believe somebody thought that like this was okay to make. We're still talking about a game that just generally doesn't look particularly exciting. Now, I'm somebody who talks a lot about games on this channel. I play a lot of games on this channel. I played something like Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn and Concord and Kill the Justice League and even Dustborn, and this is a game that, of course, looks right up those gamers' alleys. Now, we know that those gamers are very small in their numbers. I suppose the modern audience does really exist, but this is a game that is really going to get no support, just like a lot of us expected, because as you can see, the demo has released and the all-time peak was 22 people. Now, maybe this is because they haven't marketed it a lot. Maybe this is because they pushed potential customers away by silencing them on social media. Maybe this is just an experience that nobody truly was asking for. But in-game right now is 9. Now, there is no official release date for the full build of the game. We just have this demo, and then on Steam it says coming soon. Either way, though, this doesn't look like a particularly strong start to what these developers, I'm sure, hope was going to be a key to open the door to the industry, because these people are creating propaganda in order to hopefully be hired at another company or be given more opportunities to create the same propaganda. These people don't actually care about making video games for the love and the passion of the game itself. They don't care about creating high quality entertainment. They don't care about escapism. They just view video games as a vessel to push propaganda and narratives and their ideologies onto people, and that is a terrible mindset. But they're not really open to criticism, because as we saw a couple of months ago when this first teaser was initially released and gamers were talking talking about it, they didn't take it particularly well, as they were locking down basically any threads that were memes, jokes, and criticisms, and even questions. They went absolutely nuclear. They were sitting here and locking down all of these threads. Some of these threads didn't even have a single comment on them. Now, I get it, right? You might not be able to handle the heat that comes from a game that people are criticizing, but if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. When you are a video game developer and you're marketing your title, you're basically a public figure. Your product can be criticized in any way, shape, or form that people want to, and it seems that they are just not able to deal with that now. They did end up giving up. They decided, you know what, we do not have the time or energy to do this, but there are still the occasional threads that are actually locked down, though I don't think that they're really going to be getting a lot of support in the future because they've pushed people away. The audience for this game was already pretty small, and it's pretty clear that even with dropping the free demo, they weren't able to capture people's attention up until this point, and their teasers and trailers all were pretty heavily ratioed. I mean, the Epic Games one that went up 3 months ago, 52,000 views, 799 likes to 6.6k dislikes, and 2,500 comments nearly. If we go to the newest trailer upload for the official gameplay trailer, as they're calling it, it's got 2.3k views, only came out yesterday, 42 likes, and 191 dislikes. So it's not even like they're facing a major amount of backlash, simply because a lot of people aren't paying attention to this game. But I'm going to call it out because it is a title that, again, it does not exist in order to be entertaining. And that is just a really unfortunate side effect of the industry right now. Like, these people can feel like they can make anything they want and they're going to almost get away with it. And again, they can make what they want. Don't get me wrong. I would not tell a developer they can't make certain content. In this case, it is okay to make, but on the flip side, we are allowed to criticize it as harshly as we want, and that's definitely what is going on. South Park couldn't even make a parody this good. We was Ludas and shit. A spiritual successor to Dustborn. Did not know my bike was an ancient artifact. Looter fatigue is real. Bonus mission. Loot Walmart. Chicago Simulator. You didn't play Dustborn. You didn't play Concord. Now get ready to not play Relooted. Mostly peaceful the game. This is how I would characterize looters. Nice job, Epic. We need a mod that replaces the museums with Target and Best Buy. Yeah, there's a lot of trolling going on, and hey, you love to see it, right? These developers made a product that people are not excited for, that people do not want, and it seems that they just cannot handle the backlash to it. There's also this thread over on X talking about it, how Relooted, the anti-racist game that claims to promote African culture but focuses on theft, robbery, and looting. The demo launched with 22 players, higher than expected, to be honest. Wait, I was one of those 22 people? African culture, theft, robbery, and looting. What did they mean by this? Well, to be honest, everyone is probably pirating the game. I don't even think anyone's going to put in the effort to pirate it. They have 25 members on their team, 22 player peak. That is a really good point. It's not like it's a large studio anyway, so a lot of them could be playing it. They should do the funniest thing by adding de novo to the full game, since stealing is bad. I'd bet half of the developers were Antifa. Are we counting demos now? Sounds actually pretty based by accident. Here you can see the modern audience they keep trying to prove exists. So I will be covering this game in the future. I am sure a lot of you have asked me to play this because you love when I torture myself on stream with these games, I suppose. But the demo for Relooted has come out, and epically failed at just 22 players on its all-time peak 9 players in-game right now, and it is looking pretty freaking horrendous for these activists. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.